Alrighty, we've got a couple minutes in already, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is SJ and I work at Justuno, and this webinar is really meant for us to talk about how to curate buyer personas in an effort to build a profile that is telling a story of how someone is going to convert. And convert can mean a couple things or many things to someone, maybe money in the bank kind of convert, or converting into a more engaged visitor, or converting into a subscriber, for example. Ooh, I see some chat in here. Cool. Just checking there. So we'll go ahead and get started with some intros today. I've got an agenda, and then we've got our themes that we're going to get into for this panel. So feel free to throw your questions if you got some in QA or in chat, and then we'll just engage in real time with whatever we see coming up there. Okay, let me move this out of my way. Awesome. So like I mentioned, my name is SJ. My role at Justuno is on the partner marketing side. And previously, I was working one-on-one with brands to optimize their on-site experience. And that can be done in many ways, whether it's just by simple messaging, by getting them into some sort of channel with you, and giving them really targeted messaging that helps them into the next step of their journey with you, which ideally is some sort of engagement that we can track. So a lot of analytics, a lot about showing the right message to them on the website, and then from there, helping their journey wherever they go off of the website. Would love to hear from you, Jen, an intro from the SearchSpring side.
Yeah, thanks, SJ. Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Clant. I'm Senior Director of Strategic Partnerships at SearchSpring, which essentially means I manage all of our technology and all of our platform relationships. But if you're not familiar with SearchSpring, we are a shopping experience solution. So we offer intelligent search, merchandising, and personalization solutions for merchants.
Heck yeah. Thank you, Jen.
You're
Would love to
welcome.
hear from you, Zach. Can we get an intro?
Hi there. So I'm Zach. I'm the co-founder at Emotive. If you don't know about Emotive, we are a text message marketing platform for e-commerce brands. We work with over 1,000 Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce brands, and really helping drive kind of down funnel conversion for really like the brands that are just starting to get going. So if you're a brand between $1 and $10 million in GMV, that's kind of like our sweet spot where we can really help you drive and accelerate growth for your brand. I'll pass it to Kendall as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. Hi, everyone. I'm Kendall, and I'm the Vice President of Conversion Rate Optimization over at Tenuity, and I oversee our landing page optimization, our website optimization, and our web analytics practices. And for those of you unfamiliar with Tenuity, it's the largest independent full funnel performance marketing agency in the US, with about 4 billion in digital media under management and more than 1,000 employees, with industry leading experience in commerce, search, social, TV, just to name a few. So
Just to name a few. Yeah. I love that. Tenuity doing the good work. Thank you, Kendall. And Larry, can we get an intro, please?
I'm Larry Kim, founder and CEO of Customers.ai. We're a website visitor identification and remarketing solution. And prior to that, I was the founder and CEO, founder of WordStream, which was a paid advertising platform used by tens of thousands of businesses, acquired by Gannett in 2018 for about 200 million.
Amazing. Quite a journey. And now we're in a perfect scenario to talk about how we can take all of these tools, our expertise, into that customer or that persona building mindset. Thank you all. And just as a note here, we will have some special offers at the end for everyone. So quick agenda, we're going to get into buyer persona building tools. Maybe not the typical tool you're thinking, but more of like how our tools fit into that. We're going to talk about engagement and converting. So engagement, whether it's a micro engagement, a huge engagement, what that means and where you can take that into your persona building. Then we get into VIPs and subscriber-based personas, and finally end up on paid traffic-based personas and owned channels. I've got some examples in here, so if we have time, I will get to that, but you'll get the deck as well, so you'll be able to see the examples that we have in here. And this was really based off of, this conversation we're going to have is really based off of the feedback that you as registrants gave when you signed up for this webinar, and seeing that a lot of us are focused on that VIP or someone that is subscribed in some way. paid traffic, and then channels that you owned. So if you do have a unique persona, feel free to throw that in chat and we can totally comment on that. So we will go ahead and get started today with our first theme, and that's going to be, what part of the buyer persona building process does your tool or service come into play? And so I'll start off with the Justuno side. When it comes to the building process, the Justuno tool is giving you that real-time data. So aside from like what is the fun part about building up this like fictional customer profile that you have, you do want to combine that with real-time information, ideally. And that can all be about their experience on the website, what drove them to the website, and that's done via tracking of the URLs or just their website behavior, which we'll get into later too. So our role is first capturing the data, relaying that to your other tools in your marketing tech stack so that you can use that either in further segmentation to understand who is really falling into those segments and like at what amount or what rate they're falling into those segments. And then so that you can build segments on the website from that data too. So I feel like right now, a lot of what we see on websites is kind of like your typical lead capture on the website. And then you're probably getting that same lead capture until who knows when. Like that's just your experience you're going to get. So when we think about inserting Justuno into creating a buyer persona that you can engage further, you're actually trying to mix in that real-time behavior with that demographic or kind of basic high-level persona that you've already built. So that's where we come into play. And it's definitely like whether you're beginning the process of building up that persona, or you're just trying to build up maybe a more specific persona or an evolved persona at this point, that's where you can use a tool like Justuno to gather that information and then use it appropriately so that it's not gathering any kind of dust. And I will throw it over to Jen. I would love to hear what you're thinking on this from the SearchSpring side.
Yeah, thanks, SJ. Honestly, SearchSpring comes into play in a very similar capacity because our platform is really helping merchants optimize shopper experience across site. Our biggest point is that data collection. So using our own kind of first-party cookies and understanding, a robust data capture on the shopper while they're on site. So really trying to pull data from different touch points like on-site behavior, their search queries, different products that they have viewed, what they have in cart, what their purchase history is, and really kind of combing that all together so that we can help support the best shopper experience on site is our primary focus area. So how do we deliver even more intelligent search? How do we support merchandising rules using all of that data and our own algorithms to get the right product in front of the customer at the right time? And then also, how do we leverage that for personal product recommendations? But something that we're working on, specifically myself, along with our product team here at SearchSpring, is to then take all of that data that we have that we're using for site experience and work with our partners, like Justuno and Emotive and others, to get that data out so that can also help influence segments and attribution in marketing communication channels and other components of the site experience, like as Shay had just mentioned, and really make that a more multi-channel experience, that it's personalized and it is a bit more specific to that individual buyer persona, if you will.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's like in the past, maybe it's been easier to build up that high level persona, but now you can build a more specific persona that you can like take action on. And with SearchSpring's whole approach with that product, kind of focusing on the product and where they are on like that product engagement journey, it just reminds me of being in a store and like the store associate sees you looking at jeans and then she like brings over a cute top that goes great with it. And you just feel like that custom experience, like they just know you like right out of the gate, which everything you were saying made me feel like that's what you're mimicking. And
exactly. I mean, it's really trying to translate that type of kind of intimate shopping
there you
experience
go.
that is unique to that individual. It's funny talking about personas and kind of segments where like our product team is like, why segment? Everything should be one-to-one. And I'm like, no, you still need to really have a strong opinion on like the different segments that you're servicing.
So true. It's like at the end, we still need to funnel people. I love that. Thank you, Jen. Let's take it over to Zach. What does Emotive think on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a similar story. It's going to sound like a broken record here. I think ultimately we live in this world now where everything is kind of first party collected, zero party collected. With the kind of, we're seeing third party cookies and data collection going away. So it's much harder to build more personalized segments without like you as the brand going after the data that you need to personalize and further segment your customer base. For Motive, exactly what you both said, like it's all about what you can capture on the site. The highest kind of like the most important messages you can send are the ones that are highest intent to the customer journey. So for example, as Jen mentioned before, what you put in your cart, what pages you browse on, what you do at the checkout, how long you're on the site, like these are the most important signals. Because at the end of the day, like SMS and email, they're super, they're expensive channels. You want to make sure that every single message you're sending is actually going to convert. And we see this kind of big disparity, lots of like campaign messages that are starting to convert less and less over time, more saturation, right? And that's going to continue. So our approach is different. Like we really actually want to flip the model where we see most accounts, they're driving 60-70% of their revenue coming from the campaign and 30 or so percent from the actual like flow or automation. We want to flip that and say, hey, look, like how can we make your flow and automation revenue much greater? And that's by giving you more of that on-site data. So for Motive, our view is your job as a brand is to figure out how do I collect as much on site and as much of the visitors on my site that I can actually target. So even with our product, we're trying to figure out ways to circumnavigate a third-party pixel or third-party cookies and driving more of a first-party approach where we can actually start to de-anonymize users on your site that actually give you more people to target. So for abandoned carts, like there are tons of people that abandon their cart. Maybe you collected their phone number a long, long time ago or email a long time ago. How do we get the ability to actually know that that's a person that abandoned their cart that we can retarget and remessage? And if you can do that, right, you're going to see a much higher conversion because those are people that are literally on your site, literally trying to convert, but just need that extra nudge to get over the line. So that's our approach. Like we really believe that it's just try to focus as much of your attention on nailing the down funnel kind of conversion path as much as you can.
That's a great call out to that checkout experience and all that you can capture there. And like and it speaks to that whole effort and what everyone's trying to do, like turn anonymous into identified in some way, right? Because yes, you can target anonymous visitors, totally possible. It just keeps them in one persona rather than, I think, helping them evolve into a more engageable persona that can convert earlier.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
It's hard to convert someone who you don't know anything about, right?
Yeah. You're just
picking
like
up-
taking it step by step, like, okay, is this okay? Do you like
Yeah.
this? Maybe, yeah. You said something too, I wanted to ask you. So when you think about like gathering all this data for Emotive, is it more about building more flows or building flows that have many steps in them? Like what is ideal?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on the flow. So there's a couple things, even with Justuno, like collecting some more information at the opt-in source, right? Like that's a really good example where you can start to say, okay, I want all the people who are interested in my men's products from that form going down this flow, and that's now a much more personalized flow versus the women's line of products. So that's just one good example. But yeah, definitely, I'd say for unfortunately with SMS, you can only do one kind of abandonment message every 48 hours. So that's kind of tough to add more. But for email, frequency is definitely the name of the game. I would definitely add like one more step. You'll be surprised like how much more conversion that could drive, just one simple step addition. But our focus is really how do we get more people from the site that were anonymous that you weren't able to kind of see before and then put them in your flow. So it's actually more like enrichment of people that in the flows that you already have. And so that's really the checkout flow, the cart flow, the browse abandonment flow. Those are the three kind of highest converting flows, of course, other than your like welcome series. And if you can try to figure out ways to get more people in those flows, honestly, that's going to be a game changer for the growth of your brand.
I totally believe that. I mean, that is like the same thing for messaging on site and those touch points of when someone is browse abandoning a full cart, and dependent on what page they are on, right? Maybe they're still shopping, they have items in cart, that's considered browse abandonment. But great stuff, Zach. I could ask you many more questions, but I'll throw it over to Kendall. I would love to hear what you're thinking from the Tenuity side here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Tenuity's CRO team supports in both helping to create the personas based on user research and the web analytics, but then they also help to formulate the necessary landing page, website experience strategy based on hypotheses derived from the personas that are provided to us by clients. So truly understanding how the customers engage, on-page experience is contingent on that on-site behavior. So Tenuity is leveraging a variety of both qualitative and quantitative tools to support that, to give us the visibility to on-site behavior, as that's the direct impact that our team in creating new pages and creating new experiences is targeting. And while personas give what I would refer to a face to visitors, there's also a really strong consumer voice, and listening to that voice is also paramount to success. So I think that also is a big thing for conversion rate optimization, right? So the fun thing about a voice is it's constantly changing, and our emotions ultimately dictate really how fast or how slow we talk, depending on if you're anxious or nervous or just hanging out with friends and family, and how we sound, if we're loud or if we're soft, how we're passionate about things. And I think we can all agree the more passionate we are about something, the louder we are. And so I say all of this because it's really the variances within these experiences for personas to ensure that we can meet the need at all times. And from a CRO standpoint, these personas that Tenuity is leveraging to create these experiences to ultimately lead to conversion. And I know that we had mentioned earlier, conversion means a lot of things, right? Micro, macro. Is it a sign up? Is it a purchase? Is it a subscription? It's a variety of things. But from a CRO standpoint, the personas act as the launch pad for the true CRO efforts, whether that be directly with the landing page or website, SMS, app, you name it. But a launch pad is just that, really, at the end of the day. It's a launching off place. It's a supporting structure, have you, for the primary efforts to listen and test and learn on an ongoing basis. So where Tenuity is coming in, and on the conversion rate optimization side of the house, is we are taking these personas and then creating the experiences that align, and then iteratively testing them to make for the greatest opportunity for conversion, whether that's micro or macro in the long list of what is considered a conversion at the end of the day.
Awesome, Kendall. I wonder, do you have like a favorite persona that you've like worked around before, or that you've seen a brand call out? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
I'm not sure if I could pinpoint one persona per se. I feel like I've been here for 10 years. We've seen a lot of personas, and what's been interesting is to see how user testing and website testing lends itself so strongly to how personas can ebb and flow, right? So that, I think, has been the biggest takeaway for me, is we learn little things along the way that we can take back to our clients to say, hey, here's another element from either this qualitative data, this quantitative data, to be able to add to what was already established, expand it, make it deeper and richer, which I think is what's been the most fun across the board.
That's great to know. Thank you. Yeah, the ebb and flow of personas is definitely prevalent with omni-channel in mind too, and just where someone can actually convert. Like, it's not just they can subscribe anywhere. It's like, no, you can actually purchase a product kind of anywhere now, or get your hands on it very quickly. So it just kind of tightens up that whole, I guess, it makes it faster for them to kind of jump through from persona to persona, maybe.
Exactly.
So, thank you, Kendall. Let's take it over to Larry. What are you thinking on this one?
Sure. Thanks. And thank you for hosting. The Customers of AI is a website visitor identification and remarketing platform. And so in a nutshell, what it does is it really enhances your first party website visitor data and enriches it with valuable data points like identity, email, phone number, location, job titles, like marital status, kids, like everything you ever needed to know, like in terms of the identity of these visitors. Additionally, it's kind of like an analytics capability where it also tracks engagement. So like pages visited, repeat visitors, time on site, things that you clicked on, etc. As for how this fits into persona building, I can see a couple different elements. With more data, customers can, vendors can see customer journeys more clearly and more clearly understand more granular details about different buyer personas, like even more granular than like the top 3 personas. But then using the power of automation, like the problem with segmentation is that it's more lift, right? Like that adds work. But then leverage on the power of automations to push into specific audiences, or leveraging generative AI to customize email flows and direct different interesting customer segmentations or personas, whatever you want to call them, to different types of marketing activities like follow-up email sequences or Facebook ad sequences, etc. There's a lot of different ways that this technology is being used. It's at a high level. It's just helping companies understand segmentations that or details, like a higher resolution picture of segmentations that they probably already knew existed, but maybe not all the nuances, as well as helping create segmentations based on engagement. And in terms of like how people are using this new data, like if you have the address of people and if they look qualified and are doing certain things, maybe you send them a postcard, or maybe you use the data that you've collected to trigger a prompt for generative AI, rather than just sending to the same old welcome back flow or whatever. So I think it's an exciting time, and
I love that, Larry. Yeah, you hit on this so interestingly, because I noted it down. Like, AI does have a place in here in persona building, of course. Like at the beginning, it can make it so fast. In the end, it can help automate however it is that you want that persona to be engaging with your brand. And then I also liked what you were mentioning, like all that these tools are doing are delivering like that high resolution image or voice, to Kendall's point, of what this visitor or this person is wanting to engage with. So that's a great point. Like all of these data points that we're capturing to build a really great buyer persona they will change over time. And then it is just based off of like that personal touch mixed with automation. Like your point about inserting direct mail there, that's great. That's something that is going to ideally really resonate on that personal touch, even though you have a mix of AI kind of doing that hard lift and work for you. Great stuff, Larry. Thank you so much for that one. Let's throw it over to our second theme now, everyone. Oh no, I gave you a sneak peek. Okay, second theme. So now we're going to consider a VIP or a subscriber-based persona. And what experiences from anywhere in the omni-channel do you see being most effective in engagement or conversions for this persona? And I'll note here that subscriber-based for us can mean subscribe to your newsletter, maybe you just subscribe to a product. So that can be whichever way you would like to take it. So I would love to start with Zach on the emotive side. What are you thinking here for when you consider these personas?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, for a lot of our customers, over the past couple of years, the big change we've seen is that obviously acquisition has gotten way more expensive. So everyone's kind of focused more on LTV. Everybody's focused more on VIP. And as they should, I think like you look at, some of the best e-commerce brands in the world, like that's kind of where they've figured out how to become super profitable and make it work at scale. So that's definitely the name of the game, VIP. Some of the things that we see brands doing, like there's some obvious stuff. So for example, like SMS is a really great channel. It's very immediate. So, getting people to opt in or actually getting them to join your list for some sort of VIP benefit is always beneficial. Like that's going to be a reason why they want to join in the first place, to get them to be a subscriber. And to follow on with that, like you really want to be giving those folks really exclusive discounts. One example of this, like I saw like one of our bigger brands, Black Friday, Cyber Monday last season, they did like this blast out to their VIP segment where they said, hey, you're first to know. Like 24 hours before the deal went live, they sent everybody a passcode. They passcode locked the website, and people like were rushing to the site. They hit like 70% of their goal just on their VIP segment for BFCM with that strategy. And so going into the next day when they actually like open the floodgates for everybody else, they were obviously very, very happy. So I think like that exclusive kind of whatever you can do to make, your VIPs feel like you love them, they're exclusive. And then using your channels, Facebook, email, SMS, even mail obviously could work great too. That's a really big strategy. That's a simple one. I'd say actually what we're seeing more of is more of the community-led engagement. A lot of successful brands are really figuring out how to particularly drive more conversion through their community. So that really looks like, hey, we're doing this giveaway on Instagram. They do a post, go to our Instagram and like tag 3 friends. And so now they're using their community to drive even like not just LTV, which is like getting the community to buy and buy again. If you have a good community base, they'll continue to drive the business organically. But if you can use your community, leverage them, I don't want to say use, that sounds terrible, but leverage the community to like get their other people into the community. That's like a massive strategy that we see work, especially when it's over SMS. You send out a message to your VIP list, your community members, and you say, hey, add 3 people, to this Facebook group, or tag 3 people in our posts, and we'll, enter you in a giveaway. So all of that stuff works. I'd say the other like minutiae things that you can do, but just really make a difference. Loyalty programs, like we, work with a bunch of companies like Smile.io. There's a bunch of loyalty platforms out there that just give you an extra lift to really drive like that incentive at purchase. So whatever you can be doing on the side, like you just want to give it your VIPs or your customers another reason as to why they should buy again, to make them a VIP subscriber, if you will.
That's great. Yeah, I really like what you were saying, like with that whole VIP experience, it being totally different than a normal customer in that whole website lockdown situation. Like right away, that like makes my palms sweaty. I'm like, why are you locking the website? Like that's wild. But like, yeah, we've had those requests and people want to set up a landing page for those that are not subscribed. So it's like a lot of things are at play, even if you are focused more on that VIPer. It's trying to get people into that segment. It's trying to give that segment or that persona type a really great experience. And then like with the whole locked site thing, it's like you won't really see the benefit of that experience until later on, when those subscribers really do see like, oh, we really did get that like one-time experience and it was just limited to us. So that will just kind of build on itself. And it might feel like, I really liked the idea you said of like sending over the post and the text to increase that community engagement too. And what I was going to say is that might feel like a heavy lift for the consumer, but if they are in that VIP base, that is so easy for them to do. That is like, they want to do that. So just run with that insight that is the perfect time to engage and to create those really unique experiences. Thank you, Zach. Good stuff. Let's throw it over to Tenuity. Kendall, what are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, well, within our CRO team, we're constantly referring to how customers and visitors don't buy or volunteer information to or from websites. They're actually buying or volunteering to or from people, right? And I think that is at the heart sometimes of CRO, and we think about the web experience, but innately from a psychological standpoint, and for some of these personas as well, it's from a personal standpoint, right? And so speaking specifically to that VIP experience, immediately out of the gate for VIPs in particular, there is a level of brand loyalty, right? There, the LTV and everything that goes with that, but we can't assume that is ultimately going to take us over the finish line, right? So that loyalty can assist in driving them back, but we can't assume the loyalty will remove all barriers to entry to convert. Unfortunately, it's just not that simple. So personalization and catering to the specific needs, there's a likelihood of higher AOV, but we would also have to assume that they are that with that higher motivation, there isn't necessarily, they aren't going to overlook any other speed bumps within the path to conversion, whatever touch point that might be, whatever channel they're arriving from and we're engaging with them on. I think there's a lot of opportunity with the checkout funnel flow for VIPs in particular. It's primary for personalized upsell opportunity from our own experience and some partners that we've worked with, and plugging in what we would recommend, what they would recommend to build up and really drive up that AOV. And at this stage, it's less about establishing the brand value and more so instilling the value in the upsell and curating an experience that feels more personal, back to the people that don't buy from websites, they buy from people. And so we know that these individuals are more likely to convert if they feel you are dialed into their wants and needs. We know this, and it goes without saying that all of this is coupled with the solid UX and optimal functionality, right? So ensuring that inquiry to purchase is seamless with minimal friction. And I know it was previously mentioned, but specific incentives, I think Zach spoke to this, leverage to entice those customers to log in, come back, purchase, so on and so forth. It can go a long way if we're strategic in our approach from incentive received to incentive redeemed, whatever that redemption might be. And there's a lot of ground to cover in between the receiving and the redeeming. There's a specific amount of momentum baked into this that we don't want to disrupt or lose altogether at the end of the day. And in order to avoid that, we need to ensure that redemption and or access to that incentive is seamless. And so again, this is where that behavior, visitor behavior, VIP behavior in particular, looking at the web analytics to really understand and testing against that data to really capture and ensure as much as we possibly can that we are getting the most out of every visit that we're bringing through the variety of channels that we are targeting.
100%. You just said that so perfectly. I love how you worded everything. And I especially liked your call out to they're buying from people. Not only are you portraying your whole brand voice, right? But the people like you and me that are helping brands set things up, we are also just people that are trying to relay that in many ways. I would add on to your cross-sell, upsell experience and say that introducing that feedback loop to those VIPers has been maybe something more of a trend now that we have those tools that can easily capture post-purchase info, where did you hear about us? So it's kind of you're going back historically and trying to get all that info from VIPers too, to hopefully infer what is the best next step that you can present them. So I'm not sure if that's more of an A/B test or just showing that kind of quiz or survey to a particular group. But yeah, I would love to know what you think about feedback in that process.
That's interesting that you bring that up because we're testing that out right now for a client. Our landing optimization side is a post-purchase survey. And it's right now for us, it is an A/B test. It's we're gathering the information, but we're also gathering if they're engaged enough to even want to engage with the survey itself. So we built it out in-house and we're testing it and on these pages that live with us for our clients. And so it is an A/B test in that sense, so that we can see from an engagement standpoint. But to your point, we're also gathering that feedback, which is then informing, A, the persona, and B, additional areas of opportunity for us to be continuously optimizing.
That's awesome. I will have to catch up with you on that performance of that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know, yeah, we can do an A/B test there. Thank you, Kendall. Let's
Sure.
learn over to Larry, customers.ai. What are we thinking here?
Yes. So, what exactly do we mean by a VIP persona? And I think what we're trying to say here is that this isn't any regular user. It's a kind of a prospect that epitomizes your ideal customer profile, and that these visitors are the types of visitors who show demonstrate interest in your offerings and are the most likely to convert or have a history of repeat purchases, making them invaluable to your business. And so if we delve into the nuts and bolts of identifying these VIPs that are landing on your website every day, I think that the technology for website visitor identification and first-party data pixels is truly magical, in that it can allow businesses to know, all sorts of demographic and behavioral details about the website visitors without even having people to fill out a single form. It's possible, like we can provide, data points like, homeowner status or credit rating or estimated income or job title or employer. Like there's just so much information, that you can unlock here to sort of to score sort of the buyer qualification element of a VIP. Now, a VIP isn't just about the qualification of a prospective VIP. It's also about the engagement and the intent of the buyer, which is another important part, and that's where user engagement tracking comes into play by analyzing behaviors such as the duration of the visit, navigation through key landing pages, interactions with marketing efforts over time, like clicking on ads or clicking on emails. This comprehensive picture can assess and score the user engagement score, and it's the combination of that high user engagement plus the high prospect qualification that I think is the VIP that we're looking for here. And finally, I would just say that another key element here is just re-identification. And so if you already know who your VIPs are based on past purchasing history, wouldn't it be neat to just recognize that when these people come back and roll out the red carpet, metaphorically, and that's a tracking issue that with everything that's happening with third-party cookies, and Klaviyo can only track users for 7 days and all this stuff. You can use these first-party data pixels like Customers AI to extend that tracking horizon of your pre-existing VIPs to indefinitely, so that you can continue to treat them with the extra special attention that they deserve. In conclusion, I think that there's if it's all about VIPs, the next generation of VIP targeting and actions is upon us. And I think that these first-party data collection pixels are really unlocking a lot of interesting use cases here. Thanks.
Yeah, it totally opens up the door to just where you can even start with building or going through another iteration of a persona. I loved your idea of rolling out the red carpet. Just imagine a little pop-up that's a red carpet, and then it's do you want to start your amazing experience? And that's a little fun thing we can do, right? But that is an engagement. If someone's clicking on that, you can already throw them into a type of segment to retarget on site with a tool like Justuno, and then you can relay that information to everything else that you're using from where they engaged. I love that, Larry. Thank you so much for that insight. Let's throw it over to Jen from SearchSpring. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, honestly, my response might be a little bit repetitive of both Larry and Kendall. From a SearchSpring perspective, again, it's about that data, leveraging the data that you're able to collect, and any data that the consumer then gives to you. The expectation I think that we would all have as consumers ourselves is that I'm willing to give some data if I know that that's going to improve my overall shopping experience, whether that's from the product recommendations that I see to, even like fit and size suggestions to that a more streamlined checkout experience. So I think especially as like a VIP customer, it's really critical for brands to try to take all of this different data touch points, thinking about where and which solutions you're using that are collecting different types of data on your shoppers and being able to connect those dots. So thinking about connectivity through your tech stack of like, how do you really kind of get a full picture so that you're able to then serve up that experience appropriately, and meet the consumer expectation. So for site experience, again, we're really looking at when consumers are then logged in, specifically when they're logged in under their profile, making sure that we really understand their LTV, their recent purchase AOV, whatever that might look like, in addition to shopping behaviors and what the physical products that they purchased previously. To elevate that experience as much as possible, making, things that the consumers don't even realize are happening behind the scenes, but, showcasing whether it's on a product page or whether it's in cart, those product recommendations, things that they might just simply like based on everything that about their previous shopping behavior. Or things that might be similar to what they have in cart, things that are trending, going back to kind of like that community of like, if you have a shopper community base that people are following along and they want to understand, maybe something that is outside of the norm for them to purchase, but is really on trend right now. I don't know. I feel like I'm a recovering mother of 3 small children. So I'm like, I have no idea what's trending right now. I need suggestions as a shopper. So really just trying to think through again, like how do you maximize that shopper experience through all the different channels, how they convert to site and then how they are converting on site and making it all very seamless, very personalized and very seamless shopping experience.
Great stuff, Jen. I had a comment in there, but it left me. So maybe I'll add on to that later, but 100% with like everything that is happening on site, all of that can feed into a segment in some type of way. And I loved your call out to like, maybe your tech stack isn't totally integrated, but that each tool that you're using is able to serve up data and give you really relevant information that then you can go and use. And like at the end, your brand best and your customers and your visitors best. So that's where you can determine what works best for your targeting. Thank you, Jen. So we got 15 minutes left. So I'm going to skip through our examples so we can get into our last theme, but you'll see these examples in the slide deck and they're meant to show you examples of persona targeting. So the difference that can look like just in design or just by here with this little birdie example, targeting someone based on if they're following an influencer. So I think that kind of speaks to Zach and what everyone was saying about community. And it's not just your community. It's also like the affiliates, the influencers that you're working with, their community and how you're speaking to them. That kind of is like the next outside level of your website. Here's another example of personas targeting just with different banners based on what has spent. Really easy one based off of AOV. Here's something that gives a little more direction and education for someone that is maybe coming from a paid channel, right? We don't know a lot about them. Maybe they don't know a lot about us. And then we've got some banners that you can see showing various ways that you can target. This can just be like an A/B/C/D test and just seeing which one works best as far as, is it a countdown? Is it free shipping? Is it UGC? Is it a special offer kind of thing? I know those are all different. We wouldn't want to A/B test all of those. So I'll throw it into our third theme here. Our third and final theme. So let's talk about paid traffic-based personas or those own channels like SMS and social, which we've alluded to already. So what data should we prioritize capturing or using to build out a more in-depth or engageable persona? Engageable meaning they have something to click on, they have something that we can track as an event. So I would love to hear from Kendall, you at Tenuity. What are you thinking on this one?
We do a lot of testing and page creation around paid search and paid social traffic in particular. And a lot of user research and testing goes into understanding this traffic and how it ultimately engages with the post-click experience. And obviously that on-site behavior data in a variety of ways in which it's captured is absolutely necessary. And our landing page optimization team creates net new personalized landing page experiences tailored to specific personas, and upon which then they continuously and iteratively test to hone in on what's successful and what's not. And I think a trap that we frequently fall into on the paid side is, in a lot of cases, we have a single page standalone by itself or a single experience as a catch-all for a majority of traffic that we drive to it. And so ultimately we're sending a variety of people with a variety of wants and needs and motivations, different personas, to the same exact place, which isn't setting anyone up for true success in the long run. We've seen that a lot on our side of the house. And so ultimately, in the majority of cases, we aren't drilling down to a granular enough level to make the true difference in the experience for the specific traffic that's arriving, catering to those personas that from the variety of channels that are coming in. And so our LPO team was able to create some net new pages catered to specific personas from a subscription wellness client, and they were targeting Meta and TikTok channels specifically, and they were optimizing a variety of things, including checkout quizzes, cross-selling, ingredient education, and we saw 3 times conversion lift just from the granularity that we had in catering to these specific experiences. And so we prioritize capturing that on-site behavior, the click activity, scroll maps, heat maps, all that fun stuff. And then on the current pages in use in order to determine the optimal persona experience. And we were able to solidify the proper experience for the persona, or adjust and amplify that experience based on what our testing data reveals to us, and then prioritize and execute the necessary iterations appropriately. And the cornerstone of all of this was that behavior, right? So we talked, bringing this full circle, at least from the Tenuity side, we talked about these personas having a voice as well. And we have a persona that we create these experiences for, but the voice can be altered by little things, because we're human beings and different things make us tick and think differently in a variety of settings based on emotions and how we feel. And so understanding how users engage with the site and their hiccups and their hangups ultimately allowed us to build these proper experiences and to gather the necessary data to execute upon those experiences, and really make sure that we're getting the most out of the traffic that we have arriving and catering specifically to those personas.
Amazing. Yeah, it's catering to everyone. And specifically, you called out, like, of course, we're on paid traffic, and you called out social. When we're catering to social, it's a little, I guess, data point that you can capture to learn more here is capturing their TikTok handle, their Instagram handle, to kind of meet them not only where they are on social and kind of understand that part of them, but also to see if they fall into another segment, if they can be an influencer for you, if they can be some sort of affiliate for you. And that's just a different kind of connection that you want to make with someone that maybe you don't know a lot about them, but with social, there is so much you can't know about them. So just an insert there on like what we can do to cater more to that visitor. It doesn't necessarily have to all live on site, of course, because there's so many channels now, but that's a way you can meet them back on social. Thank you, Kendall. I love that. Let's take it over to Larry. What are you thinking here from customers.ai side?
Thanks, SJ. So pertaining to paid ad channels, it's been challenging, I think, if you've done any digital advertising in the last 5 years. I think that the 800-pound gorilla here is probably like, crushing updates to iOS and the loss of third-party cookies, which, it's impacted every ad platform, but I think Facebook ads in particular was extremely vulnerable. And so as we think about a focus on persona-driven marketing from ad channels, I think a key focus of this has to be in restoring, the data signal that we used to love and rely on to grow our businesses. So specifically, what signals do we need here? Well, I would point to remarketing as being sort of like the historical crown jewel of ad targeting methods, in that people who have visited your website recently and by definition have heard of you, have heard of your brand, and are in market for the products or services that you're selling. And so historically, like in my history of managing ads for tens of thousands of businesses, we did find across the board that particular ad targeting method, retargeting, did tend to generate 2 to 3 times higher engagement than other ad targeting methods, as well as that engagement carried through to higher conversion rates, like 2 to 3 times higher conversion rates vis-a-vis other targeting methods. And so, you're talking about what data to prioritize. I would start there. That's like the people who've heard of you and are in market for the products and then services. Of course, the challenge here is that the data signal is kind of drying up, because every Firefox and Safari and iOS evolved shut down third-party cookies, and Chrome is if we believe what they're saying, they should be turned off by mid-year. That remarketing signal from your website back to ad platforms like Facebook is down 85% at the moment. And so one strategy to remarket like it's 2018 again is just to turn on one of these ID pixels and capture all that data and enrich it to secondary identifiers like secondary email, cell phone number, landline number, like other addresses and stuff like this, and then push all that data back to the audience manager in Facebook, so that you can basically get that signal back. Advertising is like garbage in, garbage out. The challenge is that there's just been a loss of signal, and I think the solution is to get that signal back, and you can send that back as custom audiences to target specifically recent website visitors, or alternatively you can send that data back through a conversions API like CAPI, which is similar but slightly different. It's using that data to train a Facebook Audience Plus AI to help figure out your different audience personas and stuff like that. So thank you.
I gotcha. Thank you, Larry. Restoring data signals. That's a great point here, that what you're prioritizing is like what that signal is for you, and then how you can use that in your paid channels and anywhere else. Thank you so much, Larry, for that. I appreciate it. Let's throw it over to Jen at SearchSpring. What are you thinking on this one?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, again, a bit repetitive here, so not to just pile on, but taking that data, capturing it, and hopefully capturing what you can through the paid networks. I think the nice thing about channels like email and SMS, with the subscriber opt-ins, you can get some really specific data and understand that customer on a one-to-one basis a lot more better. But sorry, I paused because a lot more better sounds awful. But then it's being able to then leverage that to that appropriate experience based on the data that So from what Kendall was talking about, it's like, how do you then send them to a more personalized landing page? And that's again kind of where SearchSpring comes back into the fold, is taking them into a landing page where we're surfacing the personalized product recommendations or merchandise specific to what we think that they are either seeing in that paid traffic, or seeing through an influencer, or specific to the messaging that they receive through an SMS or an email. And then delivering that experience so that, you're just taking into consideration. I think email, SMS, some of those channels where that, it's like obviously the unique identifier, whatever you can you innately capture to make that a one-to-one experience should be priority. And then then your more generalized data so that you can segment. At least if you don't know that individual on a one-to-one level, how do you then use those buyer personas and the segmentation that you've created to make the experience more relevant?
I gotcha. Yeah, when I'm thinking of a paid traffic, I'm like probably trying to get them into another channel, kind of like what you were getting to, like SMS, email, which is a really great segue into you, Zach, kind of owning that whole SMS world and what you're thinking here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would definitely have to like double down on everything Larry's talked about. To be honest with you, like again, I'll sound like a broken record here. I said this beginning. The best audience you can engage with is the one that's got the highest intent. And as Larry kind of mentioned, every kind of update that comes out the door from the Apple studios is just making it harder and harder for us to track who the high intent users are in the journey. And that makes it hard to retarget over ads, over Meta, over TikTok, Google, and also over email and SMS. And so like in general, marketing's super hard. I empathize with everybody who's listening to this call right now. Like it's impossible to find like new areas for growth and revenue. And prior to these changes, it was much easier, like candidly. And that's partially because it was very dollar in, dollar out economics. Now it's like really, really hard to make it all work. Like the biggest thing you could do is try to figure out ways to make it work again. I think Larry said it perfectly. It's like, how do you advertise like it's 2018 again? And so that's kind of the key. I would say take the concept of signal loss like seriously, because it's gonna get harder and harder and harder, worse and worse, as Chrome releases new updates, as Apple releases new updates. And yeah, 100%. I think it's crucial to adopt a product like Customers or even Emotive Pixel, where we help with some of this on the retargeting from an SMS perspective. Like that's, I would say, the biggest priority for a brand marketer this year is figure out how to get that going on your site. Because actually, the longer you're tracking your website, the more fidelity you have across your audience that you can then start to use in Facebook and in SMS and email. If you're kind of caught in the wind of like, hey, Chrome just shut down all third-party cookies, and you don't have any of this stuff set up, it's going to be really hard to recover all of the like previous data that you've had kind of coming through your site over the past year. So yeah, if you take one thing away, I'd say like that's the most important data that brands need to be focused on right now.
Intent. Thank you, Zach. That's a great recap for us. Especially when it comes to, like, we've talked about personas, and then we got into things that we can track. And now it's like all about intent and how do we get to a point where we can combine really informative intent with these personas that we've built out that can also change at any time. Like Kendall was saying, like they're going to be their own persona in any way, and that can change per channel. So would really encourage everyone to, right now is a great time. It's springtime. It's about to be summer. Perfect time to A/B test things and really optimize your site for that influx of traffic that you will get during the holiday time or during your specific holiday time, wherever you're at in the world. And then with this persona stuff that we're talking about, like build it as you can and optimize. Like you're at a point in tech where you're getting so much data, it's going to change, and your personas are going to turn into these really maybe priority segments that you're building across different channels. So ideally, you're thinking about it high level, and then you're going into segments, because that's what a lot of these tools that you're using can be based off of, and they're naturally capturing this kind of data that we've been talking about. So thank you all. We're 1 minute over. I'm going to take it to our last slide just so you can see the cool offers we got here. Is it this one? Yes. Which I will also send in the recording email. So if you're hanging on here, we've got a free website conversion audit. We've got an awesome Earth Day offer, which I'll send the link so you can see that. We've got a free SMS audit, and then a 7-day trial plus 500 free contacts from Larry. So my QR code there that you'll see is for the conversion audit, but I'll send a link for everyone else. If you mention this webinar, odds are someone's going to know what you're talking about, but be sure to follow the link to sign up for anything. And I appreciate all the speakers for this awesome conversation. Thanks for hanging in there, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.